Hi guys and fellow crime watchers. As you know, we on verdict watch in the Skylar case. The case has been handed to the jury and we are just going to see what happens. I don't know what you think, guys. You think that she should get life in prison, 30 years at least? She needs time. Maybe she'll get 10 years. I don't know. But as the trial went on and we heard all the events leading up to this baby's death, whether she was stillborn or what happened to this baby, we may never know the truth. But as we watched the case and the interviews from the detectives and the prosecutors and the defense, it's hard to believe that this girl didn't know she was pregnant. In fact, she did know she was pregnant because she went to the doctor. That's a fact. And the doctor confirmed she was pregnant. But as she was 18, he doesn't have to report nothing to anybody if things didn't look out the ordinary, which I guess it didn't. And time went on and he never heard from her back. So, you know, there's lots of people that don't go to the doctors and give birth. This case is not unusual, for there has been a lot of mothers that have done the same thing. The one that was in the news just recently, where she gave birth and threw her baby over the fence like it was a piece of trash. Now she is serving life for that. Now what's the difference between her and this other woman? Well, Skylar is 18. She's an adult. And this woman was an adult too. But the circumstances, what's different about it? Why did this mother do this? Why? At first, she says the baby was stillborn. Then it wasn't stillborn, which I can't understand which one's right. Because, you know, different stories that she's told. And then she broke the skull of this baby. And then she tried to cremate it. But as the doctors look at the autopsy, they said they couldn't find if the baby had been burned. But it still might be true that she could have been, but the thing is, she was not burnt to the bone. And as this baby wasn't found until a few months later, there was only a skeleton left. But there is a fracture to the skull. So this is true. And so this baby, in my opinion, was killed or was dropped. I mean, she gave birth all alone, and then she buried it in her garden so it could be close to her. And she even named the baby Annabelle. Well, she's coming across like she's distant. She didn't know she was pregnant. She can't believe she was pregnant. All those kind of things. But she named the baby and she buried it. And she did not tell anybody. But along the way, she made some texts and she got into a prom dress and she told people she had a flat stomach now. Was she in denial? In my opinion, during the closing arguments Wednesday in the murder trial against Ohio woman for burying her newborn, the doctor testified that the defendant has a personality disorder and that prevents her from standing up for herself. Standing up for herself? No. This girl was an honest student. She was outspoken and she got on well in school with her peers. She was a spokesperson. She helped a lot of people with disabilities. She volunteered. This person don't sound like she has a disorder to me, standing up for herself. She sure can stand up for herself. The defense team hired Dr. Stuart Basin to examine her after she was charged with murder and related charges to the connection in the death of her newborn daughter in 2017, which this case was a couple of years old. She is now 20. Her first name is Brooke, but goes by Skylar. And she gave birth when she was 18. Inside her parents' home in the bathroom, apparently. I don't know where her parents were at this time. Where were her parents at this time? Were they out? They didn't hear nothing? I mean, you're giving birth, you're in labor. I don't know how long she was in labor. Then you give birth, and then you have all kinds of a mess. Afterwards, you're on the bathroom floor. It's hard to fathom that nobody noticed this, or did they? Did the mother help? I don't think the father did, but maybe the mother helped in some way. I don't know. It's just my opinion. And I know it doesn't matter now because we're on verdict watch. But why didn't she, like people ask, maybe she was planning on giving the baby up for adoption. No, I don't think she was planning on giving the baby up for adoption, because she would have went to the baby's doctor. She would have got a hold of somebody to discuss adoption. And she could have kept it quiet. She could have hid out for a little while and gave birth to the baby, and nothing else would have been said. The baby would have been put up for adoption. It would have been all legal. But she didn't do that. So no, she didn't plan on giving the baby up, because remember, she's in denial. She's in denial, she's even pregnant, that this baby was called a thing. A thing. So she had no ties to this baby, and all she was worried about is she's going off to college, and she cannot be a mother. She cannot have a baby. But she remembers saying all this. But she called the baby it, but also named the baby. So maybe this comes from her personality disorder that they say she has. If you ask me, they're just trying to twist the truth and confuse the jury. There's going to be people in that jury that will sympathize with her, but these kids cannot keep getting away with murder. There are plenty of help out there if you are in distress and pregnant and don't know what to do. If it's too late for you to abort, or you may not know you are until 5 or 6 months down the line, but you have options out there. If you are going to full term, just tell somebody, go get some help, and things will be arranged for you to give the baby up for adoption. That would be the best way. Please stop throwing your babies away like they're trash. You gave birth to them. They're part of you. Now, I know there's people out there that have been raped and, they've got pregnant through different means. Not very nice. But if it's too late and you're ready to give birth, please go somewhere and get some help. They're there to help you, not condone you. Just remember that. And if anybody out there that knows somebody's pregnant and having a hard time, take them somewhere where they can get some help. You can see your doctor. They can give you all kinds of advice, and they will put you in touch with the right people. And they will not make you feel bad about you being pregnant because you're underage, or any age. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're having a hard time accepting your pregnancy, seek help. There is lots of mothers and fathers out there that cannot have children. Not saying everybody out there is going to be a perfect parent, as we see in the news. I mean, there's people that has adopted children and treated them like crap, and even murdered them and abused them. But that's not everybody. So, as we are in verdict watch, she could face a number of terms in prison, and she might not even get prison time. Till now, she's been out on home release, with the bracelet on her ankle. And she hasn't really served any time in jail. Only that short while. And her parents got her out. If you ask me, she's just a spoiled little brat. Maybe she thinks that she's entitled. She's entitled to her life. Yes, she's entitled to her life. But you're the one that laid down with a man. Now, the father of this child spoke up. Alleged father. Who knows how many she's been with. It's just my opinion. Just alleged. You do grown-up things. You pay grown-up time. Do you know what I mean, guys? Even though she was 18, so by law, she's an adult. Doesn't matter if she's living with her parents and her parents are supporting her. The mother and the father, I don't know about them. They're just not right in the head somewhere along the line. But the mother is probably the one that her daughter cannot do no wrong. The father doesn't seem to be in that much of a denial. You killed your baby. You're going to pay the price, whatever that may be. Whatever that may be. And some people feel that she shouldn't do any time in prison. Some say she should get life. If we keep letting these kids, well, she's not a kid, she's an adult, but 18, she's 20 now, get away with this. There should be a law against a crime like this. When you find out you're pregnant and then you do this at the end of the day, knowing that you're doing wrong, which I feel that she knew what she was doing wrong at the end of the day. She knew it. She gave birth, why didn't she yell for help? I know she may have yelled for help. Her mother may have helped her. Somebody may have helped her. But that's not a fact. That's just my opinion. But why didn't she get some help? That's all she had to do was call 911. But all the things that she's been accused of in the trial, people say, oh, it doesn't mean she did it. Oh, yes, she did it. She did it. And that's the end of the story. She did it. Now, the so-called boyfriend at the time, which wasn't a boyfriend, I don't think, it was just maybe a few months, and they weren't together again. Maybe that set it off. Do you know what I mean? She was rejected. Or it just didn't work out. It's just a fling, if you know what I mean. But the father of this child, maybe I hope, can sue her in civil court. Sue her in civil court for the wrongful death of his baby. Yeah. If you can't pay one way, you're gonna pay another. So that's just another option. She can be made to pay for the crime. And it was a crime she did. It was certainly a crime. But it's up to the jury now to sentence her to how they feel or what the judge's instructions were, that what they can find her guilty of or not guilty of in the death of her daughter. It's not a it. It was not a thing. It was a human baby. And who can prove this baby was born alive or not? Took one breath. She gave birth to this baby. And if the baby was born, stillborn, why crush the skull? That's what I'm saying. Why crush the skull? Now, was this done at the time of birth? Or did this happen over the 2 months after the decaying of the body? Could that happen? You see, they're not going to be 100%, and maybe they didn't prove their case on the death and the circumstances around this newborn's baby's death. But that doesn't mean she didn't do it. And we know she gave birth to this baby, and it was her doing, and she's the one that did it. So she should be the one that pays for the death. It's just a matter of how much time she's going to serve, but I'm just hoping that she gets life, because I do believe that she's the guilty one. And yeah, she made mistakes, but she knew what she was doing, in my opinion. So my opinion is she is guilty, but whether she'll be found guilty on all charges, but my guess is she's going to serve some time. Now guys, leave your comments below and let's have a little discussion on this case. But we have another case that is a very old case, back in 1992. Back in 1992, there was a little girl, and she was riding her bike along the beach in California. She was 11 years old, and this was on Thanksgiving Day back in 1992. The very next day, her body was found dumped on a rocky beach near the Pacific Ocean in Southern California. She had been raped and strangled. Police had conducted over 2,000 interviews and followed numerous leads, but they could not identify a suspect in the death of Terry Lynn Hollis until this year. Until we have DNA test, and a family member had given their DNA test in hopes of finding the killer of this 11-year-old child that was killed, raped, and strangled on Thanksgiving Day. Nightmares. The family had nightmares. The years went by. No leads. And of course, the DNA was put into the database, after decades. And in 2000, this is when they submitted the DNA evidence left on her body. And the crime lab had no matches. And they went through a combined DNA index system, CODIS, which is maintained by the FBI. In 2018, a DNA technology company based in Virginia ran a DNA sample which was available at the database and linked it to a DNA submitted to the database by a relative of the suspect. A relative of the suspect. Now, did this relative know about his relative? Did he think he could have committed the crime? Or was he doing like a lot of people do? Just put your DNA in, hoping to find lost relatives, lost loved ones, mothers and fathers. Maybe they've been adopted. Maybe this was the situation at the time. But this relative, thank you very much. We all thank you very much for doing this. With the sample, the detectives narrowed down the search and identified the suspect from the DNA taken from the rape kit and the swabs that they took from this little girl back in 1972. Jake Edward Brown was a match. He was born in 1936 and had a rap sheet, included robbery and 2 rapes that happened 2 years after Terry was attacked. And this is what the police said. But sadly, this is sad because, he died in 2003 in Arizona. Now, sad for the family that this man will never be brought to justice in the courts and charged and found guilty of this crime. They exhumed his body and took his DNA, extracted his DNA. How about that, guys? I mean, he died in 2003 and they still could get DNA from him. So even though you're dead, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you. Whether you're 6 feet under or not, if a DNA comes up, they're gonna exhume your body and get the proof they need. So that's the story of this, guys. It's a very sad but happy ending that the family now have closure. At least they know that this guy is not walking the streets. But he did walk the streets until 2013. And God knows how many women, children he has attacked, and how much bad he has done to people that may not have come forward. Now her brother Randy Hollis was 16 when his sister was killed. He attended the police news conference and encouraged families searching for justice for their loved ones not to lose hope, because hope is all we got. Hope is the last to go. Hope. So people out there that still don't have closure for their missing loved ones, murdered loved ones, there's still hope. There's still hope. As this ancestry DNA testing that people can do nowadays, they can send off for it and do a home test and send it back, and matches are happening. DNA is matching up. Now, this could be your only source. Not only source, but it's a very helpful source. That if you have not done a DNA test like this would be your time to do it. Because all you've got left is hope. And a DNA match might come up to a family member. Not even the murderer or the rapist. It might come up as a family member and lead to the conviction of the real person who committed this crime. So there is some more hope there. If you guys didn't think about that, I'm just putting it out there. It's not the police and the detectives, they only can do so much. Like, the case is gone cold, but it's still warm enough for people to touch. It's not a cold, closed, forgotten case. It's just they have no more resources or evidence to or detectives or anybody manpower to work on these cases. But these days there's a lot of people volunteering their time to open cold cases, but they still need a little help. They still need a little help. And the brother is 47 years old now, and he's overcome on the day. He said he just wishes his parents were still alive to see this day. But this happened in 1992. We don't live forever. It's just a shame that it took this long. But no matter how long it took, they have results. So guys, never give hope up. Don't give it up, because that's all you got left. Your life goes on. You have to. Your life has to go on. But that doesn't mean you forget. DNA solved this case through a relative. This also can happen for you guys if you're in the same situation. So my advice is Ancestry. Buy the kit. Costs like $100, I think, $99, something like that. Put it in there. Put it in there. Even people that don't think they have no connection with a case, a murder, or anything like that. Maybe you too should put your DNA in the system, just for the heck of it, because you never know. You might solve a crime. And thank you for stopping by.